Hi, everyone. I'm Tim McClure, and I'll get into some more information. But first, I invite you, if you feel so inclined, and if you're able to stand wherever you're sitting, give yourself some space. And let's do just a couple things I think would be great for all of us who do repetitive tasks during the day to do. Okay, the first thing, hands by our side, deep breath. Okay, again, deep breath and raise the arms as high as you can comfortably. And lower. Keep breathing, shift your weight side to side. I love seeing people get their neck action going. You see, we all have these abilities when we're children. We just stiffen them out as we get older and place more demands on ourselves. Okay, yep, some nice rhythm in the neck. Okay, we can start to broaden the side to side motion of the neck. It should feel like a slight stretch, but controlled, but a nice flow at the same time. I think I should be in front of the camera. All right, now up and down. Comfortably, always comfortably. Slight stretch is good, pain is not. And side to side. Are you still breathing? Good, now let's roll our shoulders a little bit. And forward. Good, and now just sort of neutral position, hands out in front, like you're playing a piano that is just the most comfortably built to your body and your specifications. Let's roll our wrists back and down. We can even turn them over and do it face palms up to the ceiling. Good, now let's go sort of up and down if we're in a neutral wrist position. Yeah, you can get some elbow motion going there, whatever feels good. Great. And now just kind of gently, let's do some grip motions like so. And now imitate my fingers like so. Okay, and like this. We'll get my joints cracked. That's what we do. Okay, now let's do what musicians do. I'm going to take right or left hand, whichever you're dominant, or both if you're ambidextrous, and take your index finger and place it on your thumb. Was that hard? Yeah. Okay, now look very carefully now at your index finger and thumb. I want you to identify one crease on each digit, and I want you to ever so carefully place them together with great concentration. Only touch those two creases. Okay, that's the difference between what musicians do and what we do in our daily activities. Did you feel how much more difficult that was? You can actually feel, try it again later, you can actually feel your forearms tighten up because you are doing something that requires great precision. All right, you may now be seated. I hope everyone got a little bit of blood flowing there. Okay, like I said, that's what I would love to see all of my music students and peers and compatriots do on a regular basis. Because as you can see in this picture of a recent chamber orchestra concert, everyone is intensely focused. Everyone is intensely unergonomic. The things we do for the occupations that we love, but creating a thing of beauty. All right, brief bio. Let me just check my time. We're doing good. I'm from Virginia, a state just a couple states south of here. I'm the youngest of 8 children. My mother was my first violin teacher for 10 years. Oh, whoops. I have a 2015 Bachelor of Music and Performance in Violin from Brigham Young University, 2,000 miles away. Highlight of that was touring China with the chamber orchestra. In 2020, I obtained a Master of Occupational Therapy from the University of Minnesota, where it was very cold in Rochester. I have been a pharmacy technician. I have done museum maintenance. I've been a caterer. I've been in business telemarketing and student apartment housekeeping. So I've done a few things. Okay, so currently I am obtaining my Master of Music in Violin Performance, and as a sustainability fellow for the College of Arts and Architecture, I'm combining the two things that I do professionally, which is occupational therapy and music. This presentation, which I really like to think of as more experiential, that's why I like to add in the movement there at the beginning, to provide a basis for understanding what sustainable ensemble musician health is. Music like many of the arts, is a reflection of what societies value, what they demand, and what they are capable of. And so right now, it's very expensive to live in our society, and for no one more so than for artists. So many musicians, for example, are not able to obtain a full-time position in an orchestra or at a university. They are entrepreneurs doing what they love, delighting audiences, and paying quite handsomely for it in many cases. So while this presentation is not a substitute for professional medical advice, consultation, or diagnosis, my hope is that to enable those who use their bodies to create art or music or dance to do so in a way that is as sustainable and affordable as possible, which equals accessible. A very important note, I'm thinking of this presentation for primarily musicians and music students, but I think for any practitioner, you are allowed to disagree. You are allowed to disagree with your past self. You're allowed to disagree with the experts, with the doctors, with your coaches and teachers and professors. You do not have ad hoc allowance to take this disagreement. Otherwise, then you are very much on your own, but you are allowed to have your own opinion and your own voice as you listen and learn from those around you and from those in positions of authority. Okay, so I want to talk about musician physiology, which is, of course, human physiology, but with a musician tilt. Oh, down to 3 minutes. Time is flying. All right, so physically, we have nervous structures, bone structures, and muscle. That's what we think of peripherally with how we move and sense the environment. And then, of course, we have internal organs that maintain the functioning of our body. A musician is going to be using their bodies to create an art form on a daily or occupational basis. And so there are a lot of physical demands. There are also many mental and cognitive demands. Music is emotionally and mentally taxing, along with all of the stressors that we are all subject to, whether they be prior health conditions, environmental stressors, financial stressors, cultural demands, etc. Musicians, artists generally, are typically known for being very sensitive, which is a positive and a wonderful trait. However, there are many demands on musicians in their music making and in their daily lives that can make it difficult to be emotionally available for the performance of music. Okay, so I guess I skipped over, but musicians are not more prone than the rest of society to experience upper extremity pathologies, with very few exceptions. The exceptions are so specific that I will not bring them up, but in general, they have the same rates of repetitive stress injuries and carpal tunnel syndrome and shoulder pathologies, as well as more central, like heart, respiratory, cardiopulmonary type issues. So treatment is focused on managing symptoms and modifying what the occupational demands are. So as I mentioned, I'm an occupational therapist, and the occupational therapist myself is concerned with how humans function with the activities they need and want to do in their lived context and with all their personal factors that have led them to the current point in their life. So combining that with music, I'm focused on what the individual, and every musician is an individual, what they value, what they are seeking to achieve in their career, and how they wish to do it, and how modifications can be made to make that more accessible given their personal factors. I wanted to bring this up, especially to students. So we all need 3 essentials to function at our best. We need adequate sleep or rest, we need adequate nutrition, and we need adequate exercise. If any one of those 3 declines, if they decline in some degree, our health will suffer, our performance of our daily tasks will suffer, because we will not have as many resources available. Okay, I'm gonna give myself 1 more minute. Is that okay? All right. So while that is our responsibility to some extent, there's only so much we can do. And at a certain point, treatment has to be sought. I advocate to musicians to surround themselves with a care team, medical providers, mental health providers, advocates at work or in a union, if if they have a union available, to advocate for optimal health and the ability to perform one's occupation. I know I keep saying this, but I think it's true. Musicians and artists, we're in it to give something that we're proud of, and something that people are willing to pay for, whether that's through grants or ticket sales or purchases. And so in order for that to happen, we need a team of people on our side to help us when life gets in the way, when we experience injury or illness. This is where sustainability really, the rubber hits the road, because yes, we all have, I hesitate to say responsibility, because I think there are massive environmental factors that influence how our health, how healthy we can be, to be honest. But we are in a very privileged position, especially in the university setting, to at least have some understanding of how to take care of ourselves, how to have sustainable practices in our own music and art. But our students, on the other hand, may not want to be professionals in our field. They may want to take it only so far. And we can make the difference between them wanting to continue in their artistic pursuits or feeling like, well, it hurt, so I didn't want to keep doing it, or I couldn't afford it, or it was too emotionally, cognitively demanding. I was told, I wasn't giving enough. And I am so totally opposed to that. I have many ideals. I'm an artist for the world, but one of them is one in which every single person has an artistic avenue, at least one, that they value, that they feel welcomes them, that they feel safe in, and that they can express as long as they possibly can. So I do think we have a responsibility, if not to ourselves, then certainly to those that we teach, to teach sustainable health practices and the difference between healthy adaptive strategies or maladaptive strategies, which do certainly abound in our fields. Okay, that time flew by way faster than I thought it would. But that is my presentation on